vegetable dishes from Leipoldt's Cellar and Kitchen by C Louis Leipoldt, first published in Die Huisgenoot on the 28th of April 1944. In the end, after all is said and done, we get our nourishment from the ground. The scientifically enlightened person will rightly object. With respect, Mr. Bernardi, that is wrong. We get it from the sun. But what matters for sunshine? At any rate, the life energy radiated by the sun is gathered by plants and crops. Meat-eating people eat cattle and get their energy that way. But we can just as easily go direct to the source of the energy, eating the vegetables themselves. I'm not proposing that we should all become vegetarians. There is no reason at all for giving up meat completely, although as a nation we tend to eat more meat than we really need for our nourishment and our health. But we can mix meat and vegetables and so enjoy the best of both. Green uncooked vegetables are only used in salads, and far too sparingly. It is not clear whether such uncooked vegetables really transfer all their energy to the body. The human body is not really equipped, like that of a sheep or a hamster, to extract the last bit of nutrition from a lettuce leaf. But we manage to get enough for our daily requirements, which makes it worthwhile eating vegetables raw. To get more out of them, they should be cooked in such a way that the nutritional value is improved, not lessened. My niece, who completed a course in domestic science at university, tells me that cooking vegetables often destroys their vitamin value. Don't shed a tear, sweetheart, I told her. Vitamin value is not something the good cook bothers about. He knows only too well that it's a minor consideration, and that the main thing is to serve the vegetables in a way that makes them tasty and digestible. She prefers not to believe me, quoting learned experts and newspaper articles proclaiming that there's more treasure in a guava than a gold mine. This kind of learning makes me despair of the future of our nation. Do not, therefore, make too much of vitamins when you are dealing with vegetables. A carrot, a turnip, an onion, a cabbage, a cauliflower, spinach, mealies, maracas, sweet potatoes, runner beans or cucumbers, whatever you can get hold of, is something greatly improved by proper cooking and just as easily spoiled by careless handling in the kitchen. Preserve the flavor of the vegetables. Where possible, preserve the juicy crispness that makes them snap between your teeth, and preserve especially the valuable minerals. Do not, therefore, boil them up in cold water. That is a good method for making vegetable soup, but it is not the way to cook vegetables properly. Cook them in water that is already boiling, if you must, but rather steam them in their own juices with the lid tightly on. Very juicy vegetables like cucumbers and brinjals are done in a few minutes. Others that may look as juicy but are not, like pumpkin and marrows, which have more fiber, take longer. And please do not add any bicarbonate of soda. Bicarbonate of soda has a specific purpose in cooking, to curb sourness, but never to preserve the color, be it green or yellow, of cooked vegetables. Use it, therefore, when you need a puree of tomatoes or a tomato soup, and then with great skill and care. But do not simply add it when cooking beans, peas, cabbage, or any other green vegetable. There is one exception: steamed purslane, a vegetable used all too rarely by us, although it is found in every garden and farmyard, with sorrel. This requires a pinch of bicarbonate of soda. Spice, salt and pepper, well, this is a matter of taste. I find that we tend to overdo the salt. Most vegetables need little salt, and especially when they have a delicate flavor, just as little spice. My old teacher in the culinary art always used to add herbs, and there's a lot to be said for this if the flavor of the herbs does not drown but enhances that of the vegetable. I do not like cooking young peas with mint because the mint overwhelms the shy, delicate taste of the peas. A leaf of rosemary, on the other hand, brings out their taste, as does a dash of sugar. In the case of a vegetable with a strong flavor, like asparagus, herbs and spices are neither necessary or advisable, although I have had this vegetable stewed with ginger and nutmeg. Sheer barbarity, as one would expect from my niece with her theoretical training. It was her concoction, after she had treated us to cocktails nogal. Of all our vegetables, cabbage is perhaps treated with the least respect, and yet it is one of the best, and also one of the most delicious when properly prepared. There are literally hundreds of different kinds, and every year a new one is cultivated that can in one way or another claim to have the advantage not possessed by its predecessors. They all have strange juicy leaves, rich in mineral salts and vegetable acids, and with a pleasant taste. The best way of cooking a cabbage is that described in our old recipes. Steam the cabbage after washing it thoroughly in cold water. Some recipes say let it lie in cold water for a few hours, but that does not improve the taste. As soon as the cabbage is soft, which usually takes 15 to 20 minutes, depending on whether you have to do with a very young head or one already going grey, and put it, as my oldest recipe says, in a colander and pour cold water over it. Shake dry, place in a saucepan with butter, nutmeg and pepper, and allow to steam slowly. In this way you preserve the green of the leaves, if that is what you want. The greenest cabbage is boerekool, or kale, with its frummeled leaves, but its taste is not the best. Brussels sprouts, a refined type of cabbage, require careful, one might almost say loving treatment. When cooked just a little too much, their fibers lose their juicy crispness. Another vegetable that we do not treat well is the turnip. The taste and flavour of a turnip are regarded as being less than aristocratic, and only rarely will you find a dish of well-cooked turnips. Yet there are few root vegetables that taste better than young turnips, steamed quickly and then gefried or fried until brown, as the old Dutch cookbooks say, in butter. You have to use young turnips, as an old turnip that has become spongy should never appear on a civilized table. And what a delicious treasure we neglect by using cucumbers only for salads. Here and there I find them with a filling of mincemeat that is suitable neither for them nor for the guest who deserves something better. A young steamed cucumber is a fine dish, but it needs to be prepared skillfully, lest it become too soggy. One has to go to work with the same care that one would use on all the different kinds of marrow. The old Cape way of dicing them and roasting them in the oven with cinnamon and sugar is a variation we should not forget. And the best, apart from simply steaming or without butter and nutmeg, is the Italian way. Very young marrows that are still milky are cut in thin slices and cooked in boiling oil.